value statement. Perhaps you're on this call, you don't have a value statement, or you're even trying to still figure out your values. Part of my hope and expectation after this call is that you're able to clearly state what your values are, or you would even, commit to taking some time to spell out your values and of course build statements around that. Would also take some time to recognize opportunities for engaging others in ethical action. So, as we step into our communities, as we engage with stakeholders, as we do what we need to do there, how do we ensure that we're engaging others in an ethical manner? And of course, we're influencing them to also be ethical in their action, right? Then we'll also learn how to support other young people, so our peers, and for project leads, how you'd also support your volunteers. For volunteers, how you support your beneficiaries to lead value-centered lives. So it's important that we are leading value-centered lives. Okay. So I'm going to show you some interesting statistics right now, and I will come back to the chat box again in a minute or so. But here it is. There was a corruption barometer that was done, and this was like a global thing. So it's not just like an African thing. But then I sort of pulled out data that sort of resonates with us as Africans. This was done in 2019. And so, key things that I thought were interesting for us to even just discuss: across 35 countries, over 47,000 people were interviewed, to help us come to this point. And so, one of the things highlighted from the research that was done is that young people in Africa, aged 18 to 34, are more likely to pay bribes than older people aged over 45 years. That felt like boom, because I mean, think about Africa, right? And think about our different countries, and the presidents or the rulers that we have, or the leaders, political leaders that we have. And I think that's a common thing, for us as Africans. We find that we have a lot of old folks at that point. And then you're finding young people saying, oh no, make a young person a president and you'll see the change. Make a young person is this and you'll see the change. Make a young person, And because we want to see change, we're saying make a young person, make a young person. But then this research is saying that, look, even these young persons were saying they should go up there are more likely to pay bribes than the older folks. So it means, well, this is me assuming. So this may mean that the level of corruption we're seeing now, assuming we even have young persons in that position, we might see a higher level of it. Maybe, maybe not. But then it's my assumption from the stats I'm seeing. Then another says 1 in 4 people globally pay bribes to access a service. 1 in 4 people. Do you know what that means? That as we're on this call, we count every 4 persons on this call. There's one person, amongst every 4 that will pay bribe to access the service. So think about, I don't know what level you're in now, but let me assume that, some of us are fresh out of school. So think about the major examination you had to do to gain access into tertiary institution, right? So in Nigeria, for instance, no, not even in Nigeria, West Africa, for instance, we have the WAEC, right? So I think that's common for us within West Africa, and then there are cases where WAEC is going to happen and few weeks to it. There are a lot of answers being tossed around across our high schools, across our secondary schools, and teachers are parading these answers. And teachers are saying, if you pay XYZ Naira or XYZ SEDI, you're going to get, is it SEDI or CIDI? You're going to get, you're going to get these answers. That's bribe in action there, right? And so it's saying that 1 in 4 people globally will pay bribe to access the service. It also says that poorer people are 2 times as likely to pay bribes. Poorer people are 2 times as likely to pay bribes. So think about our election and how our political leaders try to maneuver votes to their favor, and how they go into rural communities, handing them what? peanuts and just getting them to put a stamp to their own political logo or to their names, whatever that is, you get. So there is already that tendency that because people do not have, they would likely do anything, just to feed themselves or get the next meal. And so they are more prone to it. The research was also interesting to say that 47% of people think that the police force is the most corrupt institution. I mean, that was like, I smiled when I saw that because in my head, I'm even like, are you sure it's not more than 47%? But this was 2019. I don't know if, so from my search, I've not seen a current one yet, but hopefully there's one in the works or one that will be published soon. But it'd be good to see what recent data even exists on corruption. So, from what I've shared with you, which of these do you find really interesting? Like, it's just like, my goodness, which one caught your attention, or which one is surprising to you? I'm not surprised by that of the police. I am not. But which do you find? Let's say I'm looking at the chat and I'm trying to see the first one. Okay, the first one. The first one, that youth are more liable to give bribe. The third one on poor people, yeah, 1 and 3. Okay, 1 and 3. Mm, the second one, that's the one of 1 in 4 people. Okay. I see that a lot of surprises and quite a number of us. That first one is sort of like a shocker because we're feeling like, I mean, allow a young person step in there. Something we've heard, or I have heard a few young persons in Nigeria say, a few, and I'm not trying to generalize it, but the few I've heard from will say things like, if I step in there, I go chop my own. That's Nigerian balance. So it's a way of saying, if I step in there, I'm gonna have my share of it. So it's not a thing of I'm just going there to go and cost one change. I'm going to have my share of it because, well, these folks up there have done too much. Okay, very interesting. I see Thomas saying very interesting with this data because it's sad to know young people are more likely to give bribe. Honestly, it's sad to know, but that's what the data is also saying, that poorer people pay more bribe. I see Bami Dele sharing that. Matthew also agrees with me. The police is the most corrupt because I don't get it. I still saw a news today in Kenya, a young teacher who was killed. Well, we don't know who killed him yet, but it had something to do with the police simply because he put up a message on social media about the Inspector General Police. And then a few days later, he was arrested. And then the next minute he said he mysteriously died. I don't know what. Anyways, but that's the police. Nigerians not too long ago had the NSAS protest as well. Something linked to the police. I mean, Edwin is saying, please, more than 80%. I actually think it's more than 47 as well. Okay, great, great. We've had a good run here. Let me get back into it. The reason, I'm seeing a comment here by Melanie. The reason youths are more likely to give bribe is because they are more likely to go for job interviews and exams, which is to say they are more likely to be in situations that require them to give bribes. Okay, so I hear you. So it's sort of like desperate times, right? You're trying to get a job, you've been waiting for years, the job isn't coming, and suddenly you have this opportunity and somebody is saying pay XYZ number, and then you get this. I hear you. Which can tie to what with the young people. So I hear you, Melanie. I hear you. Jesu. Okay, you know what? Let me not try pronouncing right now. But he says, I think it's so weird that young people are that poor people are more likely to pay bribes. Why? Fear. So it's so for poor people, it's not is it pay bribe or receive bribe? So they'll be more likely, pay bribe. But it's possible, right? Because again, think about So we didn't think about Nigeria, for instance. I'm going to also speak to certain things that I know. So in Nigeria, for instance, sometimes getting a job, and for a lot of the states that are not like urban states, the key career, parts, they are like a job with the civil service, right? So for like remote areas or states that are pretty not having a lot of industrial work, what they bank on mostly is civil service jobs. That's public service jobs. And then many times to access public service job is that they put an amount of money that you have to pay to get it. And so for them, it's, you know what, I can just pay this short term because on the long run, I'm going to be getting the salary and I'll recover back the money. So desperate times can happen to people. Okay. But yeah, let me move on. We've been on this for a while and need to be mindful of my time. Okay, but I mean, that was just a great one there. So let's move on. So I have this interesting one for you, and I'm coming back to the chart again. Imagine that you're an to think that I just mentioned Inspector General, but yes, imagine that you're the Inspector General of Police, but this time around you're a good police. I want to believe that you're a good police, and your younger brother has committed a crime. You have found the evidence that may result in 30 years to life imprisonment. If you don't present the evidence, he would only serve 5 years in prison. What would you do? If you present it, he will spend 30 years or maybe life. And that's your younger brother, that's your sibling. But if you don't present it, he will spend only 5 years. What would you do? What would you do? Let's see. Muhammad says, I will share the evidence because if he is not my family, if he is not my so if he's not your family, you would have actually presented. So even if he's your family, you present. Okay. Ibrahim says, I'll present evidence for proper judgment. Interesting. Okay. Where are my people? I'm only seeing two comments. Someone says no comments. Chinasa says, reality, I won't present it. Okay. Um, I mean, I love the honesty right now. I love the honesty. An organization has flagged, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Zainab, I'm not too sure what that is. Honestly, I will burn the evidence. Okay. Now, why am I laughing? Okay. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of interesting responses. He says, I will present the evidence and then intercede. Okay. I mean, a lot of things going on. I will not. I think I will not. Let's face it. I won't want my younger brother to go to jail. Okay. Um, it is logic, but family comes first. It's difficult to decide. Glory, right? I hear you. I won't. It depends on the current regime. If it's a corrupted one, I won't present it. So what you have said there, Akim, ties to something I'm going to share later. But yeah, interesting. So if it's a good government, then okay, it makes sense. But if all of you have been messing up, hello. Oh my goodness. Okay. No one is above the law, though it's difficult. I hear you, Roots. I hear you. Hmm. I mean, this is interesting, guys, and thank you for being really honest with your thoughts. It's a really hard one. I hear you, Moses. It's a dicey one. A couple of us are like, we're not sure, it's tough. It's tough. I hear you. Okay. And a couple of us are saying, you know what, I'm going to do what's right. And others are saying it depends on the state of things. Okay, let me move on. Okay, so my next slide would help you. Okay. Oh, I thought it was the next one. Okay. I'm moving ahead of myself then. More discussions. Our next speaker comes up at what time? Okay, so I feel like I have some time. Okay, no problem. Let's go. So I still have more questions here, and I'm wondering if we should take these questions now. or if I want to pause and come back to these questions later, you know what? Let me come back. But let me say this: everything you do has a ripple effect. Everything you do has a ripple effect. Your actions would affect others. For those of you who are on the call who are law students, for instance, I know something lawyers ride on sometimes is so certain things like a moral code might not be stated in the constitution, but if the court of law has granted somebody certain favor at whatever point in time, it could be even in the 1960s or the 1850s, and then a similar thing repeats itself in 2025, lawyers would sort of leverage that favor and call it back to say that the court had done this in 1850 for a similar case. And so, because of that, they're calling that in. That's like a ripple effect. So, if that favor that was done at that time of the year seemed good, and in 2025 might not be as good, it doesn't matter because it had happened then, it can be called back now. So it's actually not a tough thing. And I'm not here on this call trying to be all righteous and say, you know what, I'm going to put my, brother under the, you know, under the, what do you put it, under the bus. I'm not, I'm even having to ask myself how easy it will be for me to do that. It's going to be a very tough call. But it's realizing that one way or the other, it would affect another person, depending on the crime being committed. I mean, a crime that would warrant life imprisonment are typically very dear crimes, very, very terrible ones, and one that I can think of straight up is murder. So if he had killed somebody, I mean, what other crimes, and let's think about our different societies, what other crimes typically would even require life imprisonment? What other crimes? I can think about murder, killing somebody else require that. What other one? I'm seeing Sammy's comment. It says, even the 5 years, I will not let it. Oh my God. Yes, thank you, Dara. Judicial precedents. You see, my legal people. Uh, we are my people. Fraud is also a crime. And does it require life imprisonment for fraud? So I was saying rape cases. Thank you, Manasi. So I was saying, think about, I mean, for us to say evidence has come and it would likely be life imprisonment, they are very, very, it must be a very terrible crime that would be life imprisonment. So think about that level of crime. Let's think about that level of crime again. Again, do you get? So that's my question. And I'm saying across your different countries, what sort of crime do you think would require life imprisonment? And I'm seeing your responses. There is rape, there is human trafficking. Oh, and Edgar is saying fraud. That's okay. That fraud must be a very serious fraud. There is terrorism, there is massacre, there is drug trafficking. So take a moment and look at this level of crime. Take a moment and look at this level of crime. Rape being done. If rape was done to a loved one and the rapist is not somebody you know, what would you do? You would ensure that that person spends life. I don't, you see the case of rape, I don't even like hearing it because I'm just like, what? We will kill you. So, so think about it that if a sibling had to commit that level of wickedness on someone else, human trafficking, had to sell somebody, a sibling had to get to that point. So if it was not even your sibling, the person who was affected was a sibling, how would you like how would you like the person who committed the offense to be treated? So you get it now that it's let's sit on it again and even look at it from that perspective. Why should a sibling even get to that point? And then a sibling does that. Then assuming it's this kind of sibling that you have been warning when he started doing little, seemingly little things, and you have been talking and talking and talking. Maybe a sibling who was involved in drug in school at some point was rusticated. You people had to pay school fees to get your sibling back on board. A sibling who did something at one point was involved in, something in school, and you were saying, no, 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 I need you to be together. You have cautioned, and then now the sibling has gone to kill somebody. You're like, you know what? You have to serve it. If you think about it again, you have to serve it. Illegal organ harvest. This one is just like, hello. I know we had one political leader like that. His daughter had organ issues, and they were going to harvest organs from another human being. And they paid the person to bring the person all the way to the US. They brought the person in, and they were going to harvest the person's organs for his own daughter till he was caught. Exactly. Yeah, you're getting it right. Yes, Dara. Imagine, for so he doesn't mind doing anything for his daughter, but at what cost? Somebody else's life? No. So you now see again from that level. So yes, we can be quick to say, I have to save my sibling, I have to save my sibling. But let's also look critically at the matter. If we were on the other side of it, how would we have wanted the criminal to have been treated? So because it's now a sibling, the person should not face it. It's a lot. It's a lot. Precious and and Jesu Jowolo, I think so. You people are having great conversations there. Nice one. But yes, um Ogucha Teresa is saying giving them the evidence is more likely killing him or her. Honestly, I won't present it, but we'll handle him like him or her. We would handle him like serve him, okay, a punishment. Okay, interesting. The punishment for rape should be death, not life imprisonment. Mentally, I think you are so like me because I'm just like, I don't even want to hear it. I'm just like, what are we waiting for? I'm not even ready for mercy. But yes. So it's to let, I'm coming back to saying all of your actions have ripple effects. All of your actions have ripple effects. So that your sibling is now the criminal, but you want to cover it today. Tomorrow, if another person, your daughter, your son, is now on the victim side of it, how would you want that criminal who did whatever they did to your son or daughter to be treated? But years ago, it was something that your sibling had done to another. So we have to think about these things from that level. So sometimes it's not just sitting with a logical perspective, but try to think long term about what exactly we're doing. Because our actions are seeds. Our actions are seeds. Today it might look like it's good. We got away, we did it fine. But what's there for us tomorrow? Our actions are seeds. Our actions are seeds. But let's carry on. Okay. What does it mean to be ethical? What do you mean? What does it mean to be ethical? Any thoughts in the chat? Sorry. Let me see. Trying to come back to the chats. What does it mean to be ethical? Yeah, thank you so much, Victoria. I'll be mindful of that. Um, hmm, sorry. Wow, there's a lot of chat, and I'm trying to figure out where where to go to. Okay, now I'm seeing responses to that. Fawaz says morality, being morally upright. Ethical means following rules and regulations, respecting others, doing something in an approved way. Ethical means to be civilized and live by principle. Um, means to be sensitive, to be truthful and respectful and honest. Doing things in policy alignment. Probably being ethical means living a morally upright life, following moral and right principles. To be ethical means doing what is right, fair and honest, even when uh okay, when no one is watching. It's about living with integrity, treating others with respect, and staying true to your values. Interesting. Ethical means doing something according to stated rules and regulations. Having values and principles that uphold morality and justice. Doing the right thing at the right time means fairness. Being in conformity with what is socially deemed right. Being ethical means doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. It's about being honest, fair. Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you all so much. You guys are so on point. I'm loving the energy, guys. So let's keep it going. Nice. So I will just move on now. My slide. So I have a couple of definitions here. So ethics rather is a series of beliefs and principles held by a person or group on how to determine which human interactions they believe are right and wrong. Is a series of beliefs and principles that is held by a person or is held by a group of people, and it determines their human interactions. They decide what they believe is right or is wrong. So think about our constitutions across our countries. So we had this set of representatives feels like this is what is right, this is what is wrong. And so there are certain principles, there are certain beliefs that are guiding us. Think about whatever religion you belong to. There are a set of beliefs, there are a set of principles. And then for us, it's a way of saying this is how you treat the other person. This is what we believe is the right way to treat another person. This is what we believe is a wrong way to treat another person. Ethics is knowing the difference between what is right to do and what you have a right to do. You see, this one is sinking. Let it sink a bit. It is knowing the difference between what is right to do and what you have a right to do. So, for instance, like I mentioned, the case of rape, see, there's a way I feel when I hear it. And in my head is if I catch that rapist, is in fact one time maybe burn you or kill you. And I feel like that's the right thing I need to do, because why would you do something like that? But now, do I have a right to do that? Is it my responsibility to do that? What the system says is that it should go through the legal procedures. So as much as I feel like I'm on my rights, because why would he or she have done something so terrible to another person? I'm on my rights. So think about what happens on some of our streets, for instance. They get a thief, somebody who stole something, and then next thing, a tire is put on the person and they're burning up the person. The people on the streets feels like they have a right, it's something that is right to do, rather not they have a right. They feel like it's something that is right to do because you shouldn't have stolen from somebody. But do they have a right to that? Is it their responsibility to enact justice? So ethics is knowing that difference. The standards of right and wrong that prescribe what humans should or should not do. That's ethics. The standards of right and wrong that tells us as humans what we should and should not do. Imagine that we did not have a system that allowed us know what is right or wrong to do, and anybody woke up and did whatever it is they wanted to do. How would we live? How would we be? Would this still be a sane place for a few of us? Think about areas where, and I mean, you may not live in those areas, and you may have lived in those areas, or you may have even experienced it. But think about regions where there's a lot of unrest. and people just standing up and going into communities and burning up houses and killing people without thinking. If every one of us was supposed to live life like that, would we be here? So there is a way we ought to treat ourselves as human beings, and that's ethics. What standards are we going to use to interact with ourselves as human beings? By what standards would we be holding ourselves to as human beings? Think about your school setting, your workplace, or even amongst your friends. There are certain things that they would do that gets you really irritated, and you're like, why would you treat me this way? I'm supposed to be your friend. Imagine that we had to go about offending ourselves in very, very, very annoying ways. How would we feel? You get, so I'll move away from this now. Why ethics? Something ethics does is helps us set boundaries for our behavior within particular contexts. So we have boundaries. So think about when you had to go to school. The school authority had a set of regulations, Some of them you would see them across campus, something they say things like, oh, no cultism, no drugs, no, some of them they paste them at different corners. But even beyond that, there are other regulations. Like the campus I was at, I attended my first degree for Nigerians, University of Ilorin. We call it, there's a slang we call it better by far. I mean, if you're on the call, you're better by far, please, I'm hailing you. Other colleagues, please don't be offended. I'm just trying to pay homage. But yes, let me be serious. So at the time I went to University of Ilorin, we had dress codes for there are ways we dress. We don't dress anyhow into school. And the state was sort of like a Muslim state. I know it's gradually sort of embracing more of others, but it was sort of like a Muslim state then. And so even for us as females, the way we had to dress was fully covered. You couldn't just wear a jean and a top, for instance, a top that just sits on your waist, not even crop top that we have right now that's flying everywhere, but a top that just sits on your waist and a jean. You could not wear it at that time. Whatever top you're going to wear would be one that would get to your hip. You're wearing a trouser, the top you're wearing must be one that gets to your hip. And they set those kind of rules. And so for them was just to be trying to set boundaries for how they wanted us to look as students within campus. So even if that's not maybe what I would think is a way I want to dress on a normal day, but I'm going into campus, and if I do not want issues, because on some instances it leads to suspension. So if I do not want such issues, I go in looking proper. For some of us, maybe within school, then depending on the course you studied or you're studying, if you're a law student, it's always like black and white. For the girls, it's black and white skirts. They were not even going to look for trousers, black and white skirts. The guys, black and white, and you must have your tie on. For those in business administration, I think was blue and black. They just had to live by it. So they were always like borderlines. This is how we're going to behave when on campus. This is what we're going to do. So there are always set of boundaries that guide or, sort of fashions our behavior in those contexts. The other thing with ethics is it provides clarity of mind on issues. So certain things happen and you're not sure who should do what. So if there were no rules or regulations, for instance, I mean, we just talked about a case about what would even typically lead to life imprisonment. So assuming we did not even have rules that stated that certain crimes would lead to life imprisonment, how would we have treated it? So when rape happens and there's no principle guiding us to manage that situation, what would we do? So ethics is sort of helping us provide clarity, saying when this happens, this is what we will do. When that happens, this is how we would respond to it. So it gives clarity to issues. It also enables consistency and fosters an atmosphere of trust. So that means when person A does this, this is the consequences. When person B does the same thing, it gets the same consequence. When person C does it, it gets the same consequence. So there is consistency. And so when there's consistency, there is trust. Because people now know that, look, If I get someone else doing this thing, the same experience that person A, B, and C have taken as consequences is what you will take. So I can trust that because of this ethics, that's what will be measured on you. Do you get? And so we're able to just even really trust ourselves. But the moment it fails with one person, mistrust comes into the system. It's just like, what are you trying to play favorites? I thought this is what is supposed to be. How did you bypass the laws? How did you bypass the regulations? And so distrust comes into the system. Oh my. Okay. And then it cultivates a sense of accountability. So people can be held accountable. So whoever it was will not just say, oh, it's the devil that did it. No, it's not devil that did it. So everybody now knows that I need to be responsible for my actions. You can't just say, oh, it's the devil that entered me. No, you're now responsible for your actions and you live according to that. That's why we discuss ethics. That's why we have ethics in place. It's okay, it's okay. So the question of right and wrong. So this brings me to something one of us had said on the call that I said I will come to it. There was a comment one of you made. Now let me try to remember that comment. He said something like, okay, yes, if the government is a fair government, then I will present the evidence. But if it's not, it's okay, it's okay. Sorry, my kids are midterm, so it's wonderful. JD, please give him that. You have your tab. Give him that. Okay, so now I'm back here. And you said yes, if the government is fair, I'll present evidence. But if the government is not, I will not present it. So that brings us to what we call moral ethics versus situational ethics. So situational ethics is saying it depends on what I'm seeing in the society. So we're not trying to go by the morals. We're not trying to go by the rules and regulations. We're now saying it depends. Choose to give you a pass. And for them it depends on how I'm feeling, not by the content you have written. How would you feel? And VC says it depends on how we are feeling that day. Then we will graduate students. If we don't feel okay, we will not graduate as students. How would we feel? Those are like situational ethics, right? But I move away. So let me try to, what's the question of right and wrong? So we're not trying to have like gray areas in our minds. Moral ethics says these guidelines are predictable. If you do this, you will get this. That is what it is. It is laid down and that's what will happen. But situational ethics is saying right and wrong depends on the actors. So they can come into court. If he's a rich man, we'll let him go. But if he's a poor man, we will not let him go. It's now coming to an issue of it depends on the actors. And do we think that that's right? Moral ethics is saying principle centered. It is principle centered and it is consistent. It's based on the principles. It will happen today, will happen tomorrow, it will happen years to come because that's what's there. But situational ethics, it doesn't necessarily have a universal, there's no universal moral rule to it. It's how we see it that day that it plays out. The third difference with it, moral ethics says moral ethics is a recipe for building and leading enduring institutions. So when you even think about your team, the set of ground rules you want to have for how you engage yourselves, how you manage conflicts, how you manage issues. Some of you might move on from leading projects to actually setting up social enterprises because of the projects that you have done. But you find that the ethics and the regulations you put is now the ground for ensuring that your team can trust you. And so it gives room for you to build. And then next thing, it's becoming a legacy that stays on for many years to come. And when we think about our nations as well, which is why if you think about your country, perhaps that's why things are falling apart. Because, well, it doesn't feel like moral ethics is in play. It doesn't feel like we can count on our institutions as much. because somehow certain people are getting away with certain things when our law states this. And so it doesn't feel like we are having nations that are necessarily enduring. Situational ethics is very unstable. It breeds double standards and is a recipe for disaster. And I think in situational ethics, we see a lot across our countries in Africa. Across our systems in Africa, you see a lot of situational ethics playing out. And it shouldn't be. Moral ethics should be what should guide us. That's what will make us have trust. So have you heard a situation where certain things happen and then someone says, no, let's report it to the police or let's take it to the court of law. Let justice be served. And somebody is saying, no, justice will fail us. We can't count on justice. How many of you have felt that way or have heard that? And just like, no, I don't think justice will be served because you don't feel like the system has been fair enough. You don't feel like the rules have been as predictable, but rather people are maneuvering the rules. Of course, that's not a system you would like. That's not a system that you even feel at ease living in. So we can't go by situational ethics. So when we even think about our personal lives as well, what sort of moral codes do we want to hold ourselves to? Okay, so I'm going to move on. Steps to ensuring that we make ethical decisions, right? Or we are ethical in our decision making. The first thing requires us to be brutally honest with ourselves. Brutally honest with yourself. Don't think twice. Sit with it. Myself, honestly, not trying to pamper myself, not trying to feel good about myself. But can I be honest with myself and say, Joy, no, this thing you've done right now is very wrong. Brutally honest with yourself. And then you go on to apply a litmus test. And it goes in, it's a four-way test where you're asking yourself, is this true? This thing that is going on right now, is it true? Then is it fair to everyone who is concerned, both victim and criminal alike and other people? Is it fair to everyone concerned? It will take me back to my first question about the younger brother issue. The younger brother who committed such a grievous crime, was he even being fair to us as a family? What's our family name? What do we live by as a family? Was it being fair to us? Was it being fair to our mother that he had to go and murder somebody else? Or was it being fair to our sisters that he had to go and rape another girl? Is it fair to all concerned? And I'm even just trying to access that based on just the family inside. Then we now think about others. Was it now being fair to the girl in question he raped? Was it being fair to the girl's mother, to the girl's parents, the girl's siblings? Was it being fair to the girl's future? A lot of that. Then is it beneficial to all concerned? How does it benefit everybody concerned? And even if your family feels like, you know what, let's sweep this under the carpet, was it beneficial to everyone? It benefits your family, but does it benefit everyone? Will it build goodwill and better relationships? I don't know how many of us know this line: a good name is better than riches. A good name. How would you want there are some names that you can call and you can cash out with the names. So for instance, I just go to the bank and maybe Dangote in Nigeria, one of is a big boy. I think he's the richest guy. I don't know right now. But anyways, Dangote, big business tycoon. And then he writes this stuff for me on a note and just says, go to the bank, and he signs on it, that they should hand me a few dollars. I just take it to the bank. That name there is like, why not? They would even want to treat me VIP because what? I'm holding a note from Dangote because of the name. But yes, I come back. That's based on wealth. A wealth name tied to wealth. But now think about good names. There are certain names you hear, and you're just like, wow, you're from that family. there is this wow that goes with it and extra respect. Assuming you meet Nelson Mandela's daughter, I don't know, but just like wow, you are wow. There is just that thing with it, and can give you access to other things. And just like what, Nelson Mandela says, I think you should come and speak at our event. You've never had her speak. You don't even know the quality of her content, but because she's from Nelson Mandela's lineage, just like you're coming to speak at our event. So when you think about that situation and how you manage that situation, would it build goodwill for you? Would it build better relationships for you? Or will people begin to avoid you and your family after that situation? So you apply this four tests and it allows you know exactly how you should then react to it. And then you want to have an accountability partner, somebody who can hold you accountable. You say, I'm going through this right now. This is what I'm hearing my younger brother has done. A colleague of mine at my workplace would always use the line, keep me honest. And I like it so much. He will say, please keep me honest. So he's like, I don't want to lie. I don't want to say what's wrong, consciously or unconsciously. So keep me honest. And so you want to have a partner who keeps you honest, someone who can say to you, but I get you. I understand how you're feeling. But in all reality and in all honesty, this won't be nice this way. Somebody who can, if you cannot be brutally honest with yourself, the other person can be brutally honest with you. You need that in your life. Okay, so there are ethical lifestyles. What drives us to live ethical lives? There are certain things that are like foundation that have sort of given us a perspective as to how or what we think is right or wrong, right? Certain things that have framed the way we are now living. I have 5 of them. I would like to go with the one in the middle because I feel like that is so foundational. And that's personal values. And we're going to talk about values in a few minutes. What are your personal values? So, depending on the values you have, those values will then guide you in equally making the right decision. No matter how it is tough, and I'm not trying to move it aside and act like it's not tough, but it is tough, right? But the values you hold there would also guide you. And then we have religious beliefs. Some of us grew up in certain religious settings. Some of us, even after growing up, have gone on to have strong convictions for the religion that we're on or we are a part of. And so, because of certain religious conducts or certain principles within our religious books, and we have been taught by religious leaders, and how we see God and perceive God to be, those sort of also guide us as to how we treat other people, you know, as to how we show up ourselves. For some of us, is life experiences. Life experiences. Why does the issue of rape, for instance, get to me? It pierces my heart terribly because I've had people, very dear loved ones, who have experienced it. I had a near case scenario. So it wasn't rape in itself, but it was sexual abuse. So when I hear it, that experience is just like, no, I remember how I felt when that person did that to me. And so I'm just like, I'm not taking this. So life experiences can also frame that. And sometimes our expectations of that person or that situations can also sometimes help us frame how we begin to think about our own ethical conduct. And of course, rules within the society. So now this takes me to values. It's a lot of conversation, and I want to pause a bit and just come back to the chat box. Let me see what's happening in the chat box. What's going on? We've discussed moral ethics right now. What is resonating with you? What is coming to mind? What do you feel like is getting to you? Yes, torture them. I'm just seeing a lot of that. Jungle justice. Yes, that's it. Hmm. Mohammed. Street children, especially girls, are more prone to rape in my community. That's why we designed a project. Mohammed is still preaching the gospel of his project right now. I love it. I love it. Okay. Um. Oh, okay. Power. That's Bora having power issues. But yes, let me move very quickly. I saw that there were a lot of conversations. Mm. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, you were giving me a name. Yes, Manasseh or T.Y. Danjuma, right? Those sort of names you can cash in on them. Right. You want both. I hear you, Jesu Wolo, right? Jesu Juwolo. Yes. You want both of them. A good name and riches. I hear you. Okay, I hear you, Melanie. They are not just good names. Yeah, those ones are based on riches, which was what I was also saying. But yeah, values are ordained principles. Okay, four-way test is really resonating. Manasseh, thank you. Alfred, you're welcome. No problem. You will catch up. Mohammed, oh, igniting your inner spirit of action. Fantastic. I love it. Values are highly cherished principles. Wait, let's keep it coming. What else is resonating with you? What are you seeing? I've got a few more minutes so that you can pause a bit before the next facilitator comes up. Oh, yes, Daniel. I believe that the team would share that with you. It's been recorded, and so you would have it afterwards to still catch up. Fantastic. Okay, let me carry on, right? Let's carry on. What then are values? So values are beliefs and desires that shape attitudes. These are beliefs, or these are the things that you desire, and it sort of shapes your attitude. They are elements of your life that you find truly important. So what in terms of you trying to figure out your value, it's important that you pause a bit, think about your life, and ask yourself what truly matters to me, what truly matters to me, or what should truly matter to me, because sometimes some of us might be dancing on what truly matters to us at a point in life, so for instance, a drug habit or a drug addict, for instance, for them what would truly matter is their next drug. But is that necessarily right? So it's a matter of you sitting with yourself and saying, what are the things that should truly matter to me? What are the things that should be truly important in my life and guiding me? So values influence the choices you make. Depending on your values, it helps you choose the kind of friends you want to work with. Your values even help you determine what sort of places you want to go to. Your values determine the sort of language you use when you speak to people, because you're just like, no, I'm this person. I can't behave like this. This is what I think about myself. I shouldn't say things like this. Your values also guide the way you want to act sometimes in public. When a public bus driver is trying to get on your nerves, and you're just like, I'm not going to stand here and act like a tout with you. Values also influence your view of the world. Because of the values you have, there's a way you begin to look at your world, right? And then you begin to say, either this is how I want to approach my world, or this is how I want my world to see me. Then you think about like Muhammad, for instance, who is preaching the gospel of his project already. There is a way he's viewing his world. For a couple of you here who have your projects, there are ways you view your world already because of the values that you're holding there to, or you feel is important to you. And of course, it also influences how we treat others within our communities. So it's upon this basis that we make our decisions. Why are values important? They help us in making decisions. We've talked a lot about decision making. A value centered life helps us build and achieve goals, the goals that we lay down, the objectives that we lay down because of our values, right? I'm also going to share with you what my values are. It helps to build and strengthen your personal brand, right? So it's a huge part of your own self awareness. But when you think about how aware am I of myself, a critical part of it is knowing what your values are. So it's part of your personal brand. It's something I love, it's something I push, and I don't mind putting it on my social media handles here and there because, well, that's my value. People should know me for it. I should know myself for it. It fosters and strengthens better relationships, your values. It also drives our thoughts, words, and actions, which I already shared. And ultimately, we're able to build a thriving society because of the kind of values that we each hold there. So, beyond the values that the nation even has, the value that you hold there personally also helps with us creating that society that we all dream of. Okay, where values come from, pretty much. Forgive me for using the Nigerian flag. I was supposed to change this to the map of Africa, to keep it African, but I forgot while putting things together. I apologize. I'm not trying to be super Nigerian on the call. But yes, where our values come from. Our values can come from our education. So sometimes, depending on level of education you have gotten, you can build your values because of maybe where you went to school, how your lecturer spoke with you, or even the course that you're taking, right? So, for instance, medical doctors would say that they value life, right? So there's a way the profession puts it. I can't say it exactly the way they say it right now, but it's a thing of life comes first for a medical practitioner. And so they won't do anything that would lead to the death of another because of their education, right? Education can also even, it's not just formal education, can be also informal education. Maybe attended certain conferences, attended certain trainings. There are things that you hear and it makes you begin to feel like, okay, I think that this is how I want to shape my life, right? So it can also be that. Our life experiences can also shape our values, which is what I mean. I referred to that already when I was speaking about ethics, and talking about my own personal experience and why the thing of rape gets to me. So our life experiences also shape that. For some of us, for instance, could be a thing of maybe growing up, you experienced theft, right? Where people stormed into your house middle of the night and, this robbery, whatever. Maybe a loved one was even killed in the process of it. You can imagine how you feel when you hear anybody saying theft or somebody went to rob somewhere. You're just like, what? What? It triggers something because of your experience. Our society as well, can also be like sort of something that also helps us shape our values, the society that we're in, our family and friends. And I think that our family and friends influence us a great deal. um the things that I do right now were because of certain things that I heard my older ones say from time to time. So my older sister and I had this older cousin who was sort of like as close as a sister as well. They will always have certain sort of interactions when I was in secondary school, and they interacted a lot about those things, and that framed my mindset in terms of how I wanted to do things and how I wanted to live. So it was sort of like a great example for me. So it could be that some of us could be our parents, right? Our fathers or mothers. Certain things that they do or certain things that they've said to us have framed how we also perceive life, right? So maybe you were raised by a single parent, maybe a mom, and whose partner did not treat her so well. You can imagine your perception already and how your values will be shaped by that. It can also be shaped by our beliefs and religion, quite tied to what I was sharing under ethics. So now, I want us to test something. Are you ready? Are you ready? I want to believe you have your notepad. I didn't ask that question from the beginning, but I want you to try something. And this is the point where I would also share my values. Let's do a value games. The first step is write down 10 values. Think about any 10 values that you know or that you like. Think about 10. Write it down in your notepad. Are you writing? Don't write on the chart right now. There's a point you write on the chart. It's not now. But I expect that you're writing in your notepad. I'll give you a few seconds. 10 values. 10 values. You like them when you hear them, you like it, you kind of desire it to an extent. What are those? Write it down. 10 values. Here are examples of some values. So maybe this also guides. I have some examples of values here. There is patience, there is encouragement, there is peace, respect, service, courage, equality, leadership, cleanliness, love for animals, sportsmanship, justice, humility, attitude, innovation, forgiveness, friendship, learning. That, there's sharing, there is compassion, there is justice, sacrifice. Yeah. Have you written 10? So, having written 10, I want you to strike out five. Five that are least important to you. It's good. It's not like it's not good. All values are good, but all values cannot be your values. You have to have certain values that are core to you. All values cannot be your values. They cannot be your values. Okay? Have you done that? Strike out five that are least important as much as they're fine. Having done that, strike out another two least important from the five that you have left. Another two that you feel like, I already see it in this. Do you get? Yeah. I already see it in that, So maybe you had love, you had sacrifice, you had giving, whatever. And then you're like, there's sacrifice in love, there's giving in love, so you can strike it out like that. So the three you have left there, you can then consider as your values, your core values, your core values. So tell me what three values you have left. What three values do you have left? Love, health, relationship, leadership. Wow. Love. I like it. I like it. This guy, you're coming after me. I said I was going to share mine, and I feel like one of you have already shared it. And I'll tell you how it has progressed in my life. Elkanah, you're still choosing five. Elkanah, I want you to go further. Make it three. Make it three. Jibila, leadership. Nice. Hey, why is running so fast? Teresa says peace, friendship, love. Oh, it's like Teresa is such a chill person. Okay. I see. Oh, your chats are coming in so fast. I'm trying to keep up. Justice, learning, and love. Wow, what a fine blend. Um, there's another one. Sorry, honesty, love, and family. Amazing, precious. Okay. There's self-respect. I'm telling you, because I have to respect myself. I hold that very core. I love it. Beautiful. Uh, there is peace. Oh wow, Anna, such a peaceful soul. My goodness, guys, this is amazing. Abdullah also says peace. Nice. Honesty, responsibility, and leadership. Fantastic. Honesty, love, and family. Um, Patience, cleanliness, and love. Wow, Matthew, cleanliness. I love it. I love it. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Um, uh, Leadership, relationship, courage. That's success. Okay. Guys, this is beautiful. A lot of you sharing. Divine miracle, love, gratitude, and service. Oh, I love that gratitude. That's so good. Guys, you guys have beautiful values. I'm just so in love right now. It's just making me feel like joy, joy, joy. I love it. Nice. Okay, so let me share mine with you and how it has progressed. So mine is actually one, but it has branches. So initially, it started off as service. I called it service. And I'd say service to God. I hold my faith very there. So service to God. And then next is service to others. No, service to my family, not others. So I prioritize my family before I think about others. So after God, my family. And then I say service to others. So this allows me to think about community and the work I want to do within communities and how I want to change lives. And then I did not want to miss myself in that equation because it's important that I have the right frame of mind when handling others. And so I have service to myself. And what that meant is I would take time to take care of me. And taking care of me can be in my learning, can be in, how I'm building myself, can be in how I'm also resting, right? But over time, what that did to me was it was making me work and work, just work in that sense. But I wanted to take a step back to say, I don't just want what I'm doing, my actions to be based on just working, working for God, working for my family, working for my people. I wanted it to be rooted in something more. And so I changed it to love. And I wanted to reframe my mindset. And so what I did was took it back to love. And I changed it to love for God, where I'm not just working for my God, but I'm loving. I changed it to loving my family, where I'm not just working for my kids, working for my husband, but I'm doing it from a place of love. Not then I changed it to love for community, love for people, where I don't just see it as responsibility to show up for people, but I want to truly love every human being I come in contact with. And then I changed it to love for me. So when I think about my rest, when I think about my learning, I'm saying if I'm not learning, then joy, I'm saying I don't love myself enough, and that's why I'm not learning. I'm saying if I'm not resting, joy, it means you don't love yourself enough. That's why you're not resting. So that's how I did that for myself. So it just has many branches, but it means many things to me. And that's how I'm able to move. Right. So so I wanted to just share that, and I truly hope that that inspired you in some way. So this will take me to I can see my time. I'm laughing a lot. I've got a few more minutes. It's not even like a lot of minutes. But yes, now this is fundamental. It says integrity as an important value. Why we should have integrity as an important value. So it says here integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. And so you can go by it, you can choose to bring in integrity into your values as per the name integrity, or you can choose to have its meaning in what you do. But the idea is we want to say that we are honest people, we are honest people in our conduct. So think about your values and how you're framing them and how you want it to mean to you, right? I shared mine with you, for instance. How do you find integrity woven in all of that? Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. It helps you live true to other values regardless of the circumstance. So for me, I find integrity in love because hey, it's if I'm doing what I'm doing with you, it's because I love you. So I don't need any other person to preach that to me. It's because I love my community. I don't need anybody to be weighing that and trying to grade it for me. Without integrity, no one will be able to trust you. And lack of integrity is harmful to the society. And we see it. I mean, these are things that we experience. Oh my goodness. Now this is a lot. But we have identified, we've worked on identifying our values, the qualities you admire. It could be your role models, the areas of your life you'd like to improve on. So, like I said, your values can also be things you'd like to improve on. You might not have it entirely now, but the idea is you want to groom your mind into it. So you can actually build yourself into that value. You might not know it, you might not have it in full right now, but you're saying, this is what I want to have important in my life, and you grow yourself into it. Um, it's also yourself in the future, having accomplished your greatest goals. What qualities would you have gotten? What qualities would have gotten you there, rather? So, but yes, identifying your values, how you'd like others to describe you when you're no longer in the room, how you'd like others to describe you when you die. I know we don't like this part of it, but we'll all die. No one will live forever. So, but we do not just want people coming and just claiming things. They're just saying, "Oh, she was such a nice person. She was the most lovely person in the world. She was the kinikon kinikon," but in reality, it was not something crazy. I live in Akwa Ibom State in Nigeria. And then there is this top high ranking police officer that died. I don't know why I'm coming back to this police thing. That died a few weeks back. And then somebody put up a post about him and said this was the most caring, kindest person that lived, very honest policeman, blah, blah, blah. My goodness. People went into that comment section and they had a lot of terrible things to say. I could not believe it. Some were saying he's such a hoodlum. Some said political leaders used him to kill many other people. Many people said he was such a wicked person. The comment section was buzzing of people who had experienced his wickedness. So, as much as one person can come, identify your values, craft your value statement. So, life, how do I'm sorry, I'm back in now. Sorry. Uh, a call came in and it interrupted us. I'm so sorry. Let me share back my screen. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I know Victoria is waiting on me. Yes. Sorry, let me finish. So I was speaking about value statement and crafting your value statement. It doesn't have to be something very out of the box thinking. So you don't even need AI to help you craft one. No. So as simple as some of you have written it, some of you mentioned family, you mentioned relationships. This is just an example of a value statement. It says, I recognize that my value is my first social circle. I will show great respect, concern, and care for my parents and siblings through my words, actions, and resources. It can be that, right? And it could be something simpler. This also feels maybe a bit long. It could also be something simpler, right? So, some of you, for instance, have learning as one of your values. So it could be something like I will prioritize learning, ensuring that no day passes me by without learning something new. Just a value statement that allows it, there's a way it allows it take roots in your life. So it's not just a word hanging somewhere, but it's making you just be more intentional about how you action it, right? So you could take some time later today, and just say what should be my statements around these values that I now have, so yeah, and then just ensuring we live value-centered lives. These are a few leaders, but we don't have time again. I'm just I wanted us to look at these persons and say what do we think are their values. The first lady with the red scarf is Malala from Pakistan, I believe. She fought for female education. At some point when they had the Taliban's were like, you would say maybe like terrorists in that sense. Maybe they're not, it's just how I picture them, but they're trying to ensure that women did not have rights, girls did not go to school. And Malala was sort of trying to advocate for girl education, and on one of those occasions as a young girl she was actually shot. She was shot at for that. Eventually, she was flown into US for treatment, and of course stayed there. I think she got a scholarship there, stayed there. Today, she has a foundation catering to young girls and education. Then, of course, we all know Nelson Mandela. So we can think about these persons. The other lady on the other Ada, is it Ada Devo? I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her surname right. But a doctor, a Nigerian. She was one of the doctors who helped with the prevention of Ebola when it tried coming into the country. So the man from Liberia had come into Nigeria with Ebola. He did not know, but eventually, when he was quarantined, she stayed with him in the hospital. She had, sort of like what's the word? So she just wanted to curtail it anyways. So eventually she got Ebola and also died. But because of that action, the Ebola, whatever, did not spread to any other whatever. It just ended there. So, but yes, you can think about their lives and even try to see What values do they hold there? For Malala, you're seeing something around education or equality, right? Um, for Nelson Mandela, I think a big one was for him was freedom, and equality for all, really. For Dr. Ada, in her own case, you say life, was really a value she held there. And there could be others that we can tease out, but we don't have a lot of time anymore. I just want to run away from all of this right now to just saying how we can begin to live a value centered life. A value centered life, rather. Pick a value a week and focus on it, especially for values that you want to grow yourself into. Pick one a week and focus on it and see how you can be intentional about it. Find ways that you can demonstrate this value. Evaluate your progress. How am I doing on this? When I said learning, how am I doing on learning? Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thursday. How am I doing so far on learning? When I said family, how am I doing so far with my family? Today is Wednesday. What have I done for my family? Have I spoken to anybody? How have I treated my family? And discuss your progress with a trusted person. Try to have an accountability partner, an accountability system, so that also keeps you going. And yes, it's like building a muscle. It takes consistency. It takes consistency. You might not fully see yourself having integrity just yet. Maybe from time to time you find yourself telling tiny lies, so it's like, oh, it's not yet perfect, but we want to keep at it. We want to be truly honest people, and so we keep going, like we're trying to gain some guys will say they're trying to, yeah, and that's pretty much the what would I start doing? Because it will be great to also hear you saying, I will continue to do this. And you know what, going forward, I'm going to stop doing this. And now I've learned this, I'm going to start doing this, whatever that is for you. But take some time, reflect on it. But yes, you already have your values, know and name them, have them clearly written, and knowing that integrity supports all other values that you have. Ethical leaders or effective leaders live their values, they don't just talk them, we live it. It should be seen. Your behavior shows your value more than your words. And Africa needs young people like you who model value in action. Thank you so much for your time, guys. I've had such a beautiful time with you all. I hope that this has been refreshing for you too. Yay! Is this is I don't know if there's any question. Are we good here? Oh, it says I was breaking out. I am so sorry. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry. A couple of us also experiencing network issues on our end. Apologies. But I hope you got some value from that. Oh wow, and I didn't see your question, your comment on time, Melanie. I'm so sorry. It says you can't hear me properly. Oh, and I was no longer sharing my screen. Yikes. I'm now wondering. I do hope that you got the last part of it. I apologize. All right, all right, all right, all right. Thank you all so much. Any questions? Are we good here? Then I hand over to Victoria. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for being so kind. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Victoria, it looks like we're good here. This is where I hand over to you. Thank you so much for having me. I had such a great time. Thank you so much, Manasseh. I appreciate you all. Matthew, Mohammed, Suju, yeah, I mean, there are some names I tried to pick. There's Teresa, there's Hannah. I mean, a lot of you on the call. Melanie, Matthew. Wow, there are a lot of you on the call, and I just had such a great time engaging with you all. Thank you. Is Victoria there? Victoria, are you there? Are you there? I know you're supposed to take a few minutes of break. Your next fast is
Yes,
up.
I'm here. I'm actually waving to you. I don't know if you can see my camera.
Ah, okay. I don't know if I can see you yet, but I can hear you now.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow, what a session. Can we appreciate our facilitator this morning? I know that some of you have started saying your thank yous in the chat box, but I would like one person to. Okay, I don't think you can actually speak because I don't know if your mic is activated now. But I want to see, more comments in the chat box. Let's give it up for her. Let's appreciate her. Wow, that was really, really packed. I was actually taking note myself. So I have a lot of questions that I would, run with her later. And thank God she's my boss anyway. So I have that access. Sorry, but all right. Thank you so much, Joy. It was a pleasure to have you. Just before we go to the next session, which is supposed to start at 11:45, I know that you have been sitting for a while since we started, but it will be a good time to just stretch and take 5 minutes break just to refresh, go grab coffee, stretch your legs, just move a bit so that we can get ready for the next session. So we'll be back here. This is 11:43. We'll be back here on the call at 11:48 so that you can have time to stretch and get ready for the next session. So please stay on the call. You can just stay on the call, and while you go grab coffee, water, snacks, anything while we wait for the next session. Thank you. All right. So it's 11:48. We should start coming back on the call. Okay, so let's get back on the call. I see that we are 89. We are supposed to be, more than this. Abdullah, you say you're hungry. Oh, you didn't get something to eat. Sorry about that. So sorry about that. All right. Please someone check in on your colleagues. You can drop a message on the chat box. That is the WhatsApp group. Just to let people know that we are back on and we are ready to go into the next session. Also bringing it to your notice that the attendance list has been dropped in the Zoom chat. So please check the chat for the attendance list for today's session, the first session. It's very important that you sign that attendance and you let us know how the first session went for you. Remember, attendance is very, very important. So if you don't sign on it, if you don't fill your attendance, it's as good as we did not see you in class today. So please make sure you do that. All right, so we have our next facilitator in the room already. And I'm excited about the second session because it's something that relates to why Youth Day of Service, why we are having the YDoS Bootcamp. And I know that you're going to find it very, very interesting, like the first session. So I'm just going to read his profile to you again so that you know who exactly is in the room and you can engage further when he's up. Just give me a minute so that I can pull up the slides again. All right. Oh, the attendance list is here already. Just scroll up a bit. If you can quickly scroll up, you will see the attendance list there. All right. Just a minute. I'm trying to get our facilitator to have access to his mic and to share his screen. So just give me a minute while I figure that out. Okay. Sorry, it's taking longer than expected, but I'm on it. The attendance link has been dropped again. Please, if you did not fill it earlier, kindly do that now before we get into the next session. Okay, so my screen is coming up shortly. Please confirm that you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, please? Can anybody see my screen?
Yes, we can, Vicky.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so our next facilitator is Mr. Emmanuel Ola Olowoyo. I hope I got that right and I didn't murder your name. He's joining us today as the network coordinator of SDSN Nigeria. So I'm just going to read his profile. Mr. Emmanuel is a development catalyst and esteemed scholar in sustainable development. Let me get this done. Sorry about that. Can you still see my screen, please? Okay, I think it's back up now. Mr. Emmanuel is a development catalyst and esteemed scholar in sustainable development. As the regional lead of AIIDF Africa and also the network coordinator of the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Nigeria, Emmanuel steers the continent towards achieving the SDGs, impacting over 10 million Africans. He specializes in designing development projects and programs and conducting multidisciplinary research and solutions to tackle global problems. Emmanuel has been instrumental in the establishment of several impactful projects across African countries, including Teach for SDGs, Africans SDGs Mentorship Program, SDGs Advocate Program, Climate Actors Accelerator Program, Recycle Up Nigeria, Genius B, and many more. Additionally, he has spearheaded various campaigns and workshops, notably Eco 30, Green Schools, and SDG Spotlight, focusing on driving sustainable development goals. His unwavering dedication to development and visionary leadership continues to leave an indelible impact in Nigeria and across Africa. So before we get into the session, I want you all to, with a virtual round of applause, welcome Mr. Emmanuel Ola Olowoyo as he takes his session, Introduction to the SDGs. Let me see your virtual claps. I can't see any clap in the chat box. If you're not clapping, he's not speaking. If you're not clapping, he's not coming up. I need to see some excitement. I need to see some ball. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Estelle. Thank you, Wahab. Thank you, Zainab. Thank you, Hamisu. Thank you, guys. Let's keep it coming, please. Coming. Hi, Mr. Emmanuel. Are you ready for us?
Awesome. Thank you very much, Victoria, for that warm welcome. And yes, thank you. And good morning from Nigeria. I understand that we have some people that might be joining in other time zones. Good afternoon to you all as well. I'm delighted to be here this morning to speak on a topic of interest, which, yeah, thank you very much, David. And it's afternoon, most especially those who are joining from Kenya and other related countries. I'm delighted to be here this morning to speak on the SDGs, and I want to believe it's been an amazing and insightful session right from the commencement of this bootcamp. And before I commence, I must appreciate the esteemed management of Leap Africa for bringing me on board to speak on this session. And thank you very much, Victoria, for the warm introduction. Yes, you got the name correctly, Ola Olowoyo, perfectly correct. Yes, I'm just going to dive into the session right away because this is something that each and every one of us are well involved. And when you look at the basis of the Youth Day of Service program, it's more focused on sustainable development and connecting to different dots. But very importantly, before I start my session, I want to believe that mostly each and every one of us here have heard about sustainable development before. This is not the first time which you are hearing about sustainable development. However, my job here today, I will avoid morning or afternoon. It's almost afternoon here in Nigeria anyway. My job here today is to give a detailed information and background on what sustainable development is all about, what the heritages is all about. It's that buzzword which you hear in mostly every event, every discourse, in every occasion. If you don't hear sustainable development, you hear sustainability. If you don't hear sustainability, you hear the SDGs or you hear the global goals. So that will lead me to this very first question, and I just want this session to be very interactive. Thank you very much, everyone, for the warm welcome. That will lead me to the very first question. When you hear the word sustainable development, what comes to your mind? You can share that in the comment section. Just drop your answers in the comment section. When you hear the word sustainable development, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? You can use a word to qualify that. You can use a sentence, whichever way you want to define that. I'm not looking forward to a long definition. Okay, thank you very much, Tomiwa. Tomiwa said change and impact. It's interconnected. I love that word, change and impact. That means you are driving change and you're also making impacts. And the impact can be directly, it can be indirectly. Ruth said, lasting impact, something that is going to last forever. Okay, a very related word is long term. I can see Teresa using the word long term, and Teresa is still saying long lasting development. Okay, I can see a lot of related words here now. Long impact development projects. Awesome. Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for this word. It said making life worth living for people. Making life worth living for people, Africans, Nigerians, Kenyans, everyone, no matter the group of the category they belong to, the underprivileged. Okay, I can say another word entirely, transformation. Thomas said transformation, and Title said continuity in change. Oh, okay, whereby there might have been a change before, we getting to sustain the change we've seen over time. Improving a situation that lasts for a long period without causing harm to the environment or people. Zainab, thank you for that. You're already defining sustainable development. I think I should just put Zainab Sheffield 2025 on that definition. And please, that's a very good definition. That's another way for me to define sustainable development to each and every one of us. Improving a situation that lasts for a long period without causing harm to the environment or people. And now what you can just add to it is maybe the future generation, ensuring that the future generation also gets to benefit that. So success and betterment of the economy, I can see futuristic impact, I can see a lot of comment, framework towards saving the future. I want to, Kefas, you must be an economist because this is the first person that will be using that word, framework. You must be you must be an economist anyway. But that's a very, very good point. And I said growth, prosperity of the continent. Thank you for all these fantastic comments and definition. I think my work here is more easy, and I can see that I see a lot of professors here. I see a lot of, I love that we are able to define sustainable development in our own term, not just the general term. The general term might be, oh, sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the current generation without compromising the future generation from meeting their own needs. That's general term. That's what we're told. That was what they told us. So, but it goes beyond that general time. It goes beyond, it comes to the aspect of day-to-day activities, while we also ensure that we consider the next generation. We're not compromising on each and every of our activities. So I'll just proceed straight and get to engage each and every one of us on what our session is going to be today. And like earlier, it was earlier introduced, I'm speaking on introduction to sustainable development. When I saw this SDG 101, I was just thinking within me that, oh, what came to my mind was all those chemistry 101, biology 101, physics 101, those 4 unit courses. And well, this is going to be very simple. So this is going to be, it's not going to look like those chemistry 101 of those undergraduate days that you struggle to have in the course. But definitely this is a real life scenario now, which this is what we live with each and every day. And this today I'm going to be speaking more about what the background, and I think you've done justice to the background of sustainable development. And I'm going to dwell more on what's the evolution of sustainable development, the transition from the MDGs and where we were before and where we are now, and what led to the formation of the SDGs, what was the process, and what are the 17 sustainable development goals. I want to believe that there are people on this call that can recite. I wish you were in a physical call. I will have just called 1 or 2 people to recite the 17 SDGs. Maybe you're going to get a gift from me for that. But I want to believe you can do that. And if you can do that, try as much as possible to study it, and over time you get used to it. And also, we speak about the dimensions, pillars of sustainable development, and we talked about SDG transformation, and also talk about how can you, as African youth, get to amplify their stages, and we get to end today's discussion. And I hope it's going to be a very interactive one for each and every one of you. And just like I've rightly said, the SDGs is a framework which was formulated by the United Nations. And this is a path for each and every one of us to benefit from what the natural, from the resources we have equally, ensuring that prosperity are being shared equally, and ensuring that the societies are inclusive, and more importantly, we keep the mother earth safe, because there is no planet B. There is nowhere we are going to run to. And when you look at, I was just trying to do a study on how development started right from the 80s. The focus were more on environment then, but later, to some extent, we're looking at the aspect of economic, we're looking to the aspect of, let me just use the word socioeconomic, economic and social lifestyle, ensuring that there is a balance. And later, now we are falling back to that environment, which was the focus then, ensuring that we protect the planet, which is very important. Each and every one of us have a role to play in that. So when you look at the word sustainable development, it cut across 3 major areas. And the very first one is the social aspect, and the second one is the environmental aspect, and the third one is the economic aspect. You can just use the simple acronym C, that's SEE. You can use the acronym to keep that. But I would just speak briefly on the evolution of sustainable development, how far, where have we been coming from, where are we today, what are those events, and the evolution is all about how it all started and what are the transition process in between. Some might define, there was someone that was addressing me some days ago, and he said Millennium Development Goals. I said, we are at the era of even closing sustainable development, and you are still mentioning Millennium Development Goals. So that means there is a need for us to be well informed. There is a need for us to be well educated when it comes to the SDGs. And we can trace the SDGs back to the 90s, right away from 1948 to 1972, where we had the UN Conference on the Environment, whereby the United Nations Environment Program was formed. That's UNEP in 1972. And where we also had the real definition of our common future, which is sustainable development. Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the the ability of the future generations to meet in their own needs. And going forward to the Rio Summit in 1992, whereby we had the Agenda 21, which was formed, and later in year 2000, where we had the Millennium Development Goals. And the Millennium Development Goal formation came on board, which spanned for 15 years, 2000 to 2015. And earlier in 2012, because this is a part I always try as much as possible to make people understand, the formation process for the SDG started in 2012. And it took a 3-year process for the SDGs to be formed, reviewed, and adopted by the 193 member states of the United Nations. And the adoption happened in September 2015, and the entire activity, now we are in the era of the decade of action, which started right from 2020 to which we are projecting 2030. But in all of this, the key question that always comes to mind is, where are we when it comes to achieving sustainable development? What are we doing currently when it comes to driving sustainable development? And because there is a question I always ask people, and I might suspend that question. Yeah, I'm going to ask a lot of questions, and it's just a mindset. I use that as a mindset shift for each and every audience I speak to, because the question is, do you believe that we can still achieve the SDGs by 2030? And I will just give a positive answer to that, because that's why we have the Youth Day of Service. That's why we have this program, whereby each and every one of you can make an impact. Each and every one of you can lead a change. You can drive a change from your respective communities, from your respective countries. And in every of these activities you are doing, it gets to contributing to accelerating the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. And when you look at the MDGs and you look at the MDGs, we have the 8 Millennium Development Goals, and that's 18 targets and 48 indicators for the MDGs. And when you look at MDG 1, which is mainly focused on eradicating extreme poverty and hunger, this was actually broken down into 2 to form the SDG 1 and SDG 2, which is no poverty and zero hunger. And we have the MDG 2, which was more focused on achieving universal primary education, which later is forming the SDG 4, which is our quality education. And when you look at MDG 3, 4, 5, 6, these MDGs are solely focused on health and well-being. And these are being formed together to stand in as the SDG 3, which we have. And we also have MDG 7, which is more focused on environment. That's ensuring environmental sustainability, whereby it's now more focused. I think we have it cutting across 3 different SDGs. That's SDG 13, 14, and 15. And one thing which I see, which is very constant in all of this, is partnership. And that's going to be my closing thought for this presentation. Without partnership, we are not going anywhere. There is no how we can achieve the MDGs, we can achieve the SDGs. Partnership is very key. Partnership is very paramount. And a very quick one, still speaking on the formation of the SDGs. Like I rightly mentioned the other time, that the formation took a 3-year process. And when you look at this process, it happens to be the largest participatory process undertaken by the United Nations. And looking at this, it's actually involved different stakeholders, different organizations, different agencies coming together getting to review and at each and every point whereby these SDGs were being published and each and everyone gets to make their contribution. And one thing which makes the SDGs stand out beyond the MDGs is this process, this participatory process. And when you talk about what makes the SDGs more better than the MDGs, it's just that process, the process of formation. Because then the developing countries always believe that the MDGs were forced on them, and which the developed countries feel like, oh, they are developed already, they don't need the MDGs. But the SDGs is quite inclusive without leaving anyone behind. It's involving both the developed and developing country and even the underdeveloped countries. And when you look at the goals, like I rightly mentioned, I think I will speak more about these under the targets and indicators for sustainable development. We have the 17 sustainable development goals, we have the 169 targets and 330 indicators. And I also mentioned that earlier, whereby the SDGs were adopted in September 2015, and the implementation process commenced officially 1st January 2016. But there's a question I always like to ask, that what are you currently doing that accelerates the attainment of the Earth 2030 agenda for sustainable development? In your country, in your location, what are you currently doing? Because in as much as you are looking forward to that change, we are looking forward to that development, you are looking forward to that economic growth, there is a major role which you as a person needs to play. As a youth, you need to play, as an organization, you need to play in driving the heritages. And like I rightly mentioned, I want to believe that each and every one of us, indirectly or directly, the 17 sustainable development goals. But I will not just assume that the 17 sustainable development goals, because it goes beyond you just knowing these SDGs. I mean, the 17 goals. There are key things you really need to understand in each of the goals, and I'm going to take my time to explain all of this. But before I get there, let me just ask this question. And it's also a way to guide each and every one of us as we are diving into this Youth Day of Service program. If you are to choose just one out of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which one will it be, and why does it really matter to you? Amongst all the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, if you are to choose just one, which one will it be, and why does it really matter to you? I want to see your answers in the comment section. I'm not sure, maybe we'll have time to speak. I don't know if there is room for that, Vic. Do we have permission for them to speak? Maybe we can just take one or two so that they can get to share and express themselves. Okay, Anna, I can see no poverty. Awesome, awesome, awesome. No poverty. And I would like to know why does SDG1 matter? Why no poverty? Why not quality education? Why not quality education? And don't let me be biased here. I'm actually someone that loves education so much. Thomas said, my organization is running the Youth for Peace campaign, which has to do with Goal 16. Awesome, awesome. That's a very good one. And Caleb said, life below water. Awesome, amazing, amazing. I will choose Goal 17. Precious says Goal 17. Barack said 13, climate action. Why climate action, Barack? I want to see your answer. Glory said SDG 10. Oh, that's great. Reduce inequalities. Then why that, Miss Glory? Kindly use the comment section to drop your answer. Okay, Mohammed said two because it's the root cause of almost all the world pressing issues. So, Mohammed, are you saying SDG 2? I need to be very sure. I need to be very sure if you are saying SDG 2. Victoria, please, can we allow them to speak just in some maybe 30 seconds? Is it possible? I would just like to take one or two feedbacks. Hello, Victoria. Okay. I would still love to check the comment section while we get to have more answers. Tolua said quality education because I believe education is the pathway to growth. Absolutely. Education is the bedrock of the 17, it's the principal enabler. Leave it, take it or leave it. So quality education, that's a very good point. I can say another partner, Patience, said quality education because education is light and open ways for more opportunity. Oh, great. Abdullah said I cannot choose because they are interconnected. That's just one of those principles of the SDGs. And yeah, they are interconnected, but definitely you still need to choose. There must be a primary goal which you are advocating for. There must be a major goal which you are innovating for. You can't be the type of person that all you want to do is, oh, I'm choosing SDG 13, I'm choosing SDG 14, 15, all because they focus on environment. You need to have one particular goal which you are working with. So, and which I believe on whatever project you are working on under the day of service, there must be a particular goal which you are focusing on. Elizabeth said good health and well-being, climate change. Olamide said climate change it affects all other SDGs. Okay, we should really have live responses. I want to ask that how does climate change, in your own view, affect all other SDGs? But absolutely, absolutely, yes. I've seen countries whereby, not in Africa, though. I wish sometimes that happens in some part of Africa, whereby there are issues of climate, and they can't even go out. They can't even go out, and everyone has to stay at home and whatever you want to do because the kind of climate. Imagine you are staying in the environment which is minus 35 degrees centigrade. You know what that means. So, but here in Africa, we're actually enjoying, and to some extent. Because Mubarak said, because our health is not safe without climate action. Truly, I agree with you. And Boniface said, quality education. Education is innovative and can help to achieve all the rest quickly. Very good. Zainab said, apologies if I'm not reading your comments, but all your comments are well noted. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Zainab said, SDG 8, this SDG, I believe, we allow the individual improve himself and encourage him to be independent and also improve the economy of the country, thereby creating a better future for citizens of that country. So I want to use Zainab point as a major scenario now. So looking at decent work and economic growth, because she believed that the individual will improve himself. However, for the individual to improve himself, he or she must have studied some major thing, definitely. And that's another area of opportunity for another person to say that, okay, I want to focus on quality education, whereby if maybe Zainab audience is well educated, they can get to improve themselves, they can get to create employment for others, whereby it also leads to economic development as well. And I want to see, Joel might now say, oh, when it comes to good health, if you don't have a good health, then there is no how you are going to improve yourself. You just be on the sick bed, and with good health, that's when you have good health, we always say that health is wealth. So it's when you have good health, you can get to achieve all of this. So it's quite interconnected, and you don't need to look at all the goals. You can have just one major goal, which you get to connect to others. So like I rightly mentioned, all your comments are well noted, and they are very, very, very good points. Like I earlier mentioned, you need to have a major goal. I mean, a major SDG, which you get to, innovate on. At this point, I don't like using the word advocate alone now, because it's at driving the 2030 agenda. We are just a few years away. There is a major need for us to get to innovate, come up with good solutions, ideas that are going to contribute to solve global challenges. So beyond you talking about the SDGs, beyond you educating people on the SDGs, there's a part whereby you need to come up with solutions. And your solution doesn't have to be a tech solution. It might be a community-based solution. It might be a policy-based. It can come in any form. It can be a mechanical solution, sort of. And all of these will definitely help you to get to scale up, and definitely help you to, I got that there is this part of value proposition that I always get to share with people. When you solve a problem, you are tending towards creating opportunity for yourself, and also creating wealth for yourself. But when there is a problem existing and we are not solving it, then it's going to lead to more issues of poverty, insecurity. So I'm just going to dive more and speak more about these SDGs, because for each and every one of us, now that you've said that you have these SDGs you are focusing on, what about the targets? What about the indicators? Have you been able to study the indicators? Have you been able to study the target for each and every goal which you are getting to stand for? It's not just you getting to know the SDGs by to say that I'm standing for SDG 8 so that I can create a quality living, I can create employment, I can contribute to economic growth. No, you also have to look at these SDG 8. Under SDG 8, what are the targets under SDG 8? It's just like when many of us, it's one thing that a lot of people do, and some do it and they do it well, and some do it and they still fail at it. But the fact that you have those lists not achieved, when you are starting the year, a lot of people always have this New Year resolution that you want to do this, you want to do that, maybe 2025. Maybe I should just do this as a reminder. Go back to your New Year resolution. How many of it have you been able to achieve? And a lot of people end up not achieving it because they don't have targets. They don't have targets for each of these resolutions. To say that by June, I must have gotten my certificate of excellence on social program. By June, I must have gotten my business registered. I must have gotten my NGO registered. It's a target. So what are the indicators that will help you to know that, okay, you've achieved this particular target? So that's the framework of the SDG targets and the indicators. So I'm just going to use Zainab, who said SDG 8. I would like to, let me just stop sharing, and we get to look at these targets one by one. And it's something that you can always go online to see. There are documents that speak to each of these targets. There are a lot of documents that speak to that. So just in a minute, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and you can also go to the sdgs.un.org. You get to see that. So we want to treat SDG 8. Just a minute. Let me see if I can get this. So like I said, for each of the goals, each goal has its own targets, and the targets are not equal across the goals. Like you can see, please, I hope you can still see my screen clearly. I'll just need a thumbs up as a confirmation if you can see my screen clearly. We'll
Yes, we
appreciate.
can.
Okay, thank you very much. For goal one, we have 7 targets, basically for goal one, which is being used to monitor the achievement of goal one by 2030. For goal 2, we have 8 targets. I might not be able to go through all the goals because of our time. And let's go to goal 8. Goal 8 has 12 targets. And goal 10 has 10 targets. Goal 12 has 11 targets. So goal 4 has 10 targets as well. So let's check out goal 4 and see the major targets we have under goal 4 and also the indicators. So when you look at goal 4 says that by 2030, we must ensure that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education, leading to relevant and effective learning outcomes. So the target is by 2030. There are some goals that their targets are not by 2030. I think I've seen some goals that their targets are even expired, maybe by 2023, 2020, 2025. But most of those targets are by 2030. And on that, we have the second, that's target 4.2, which is telling us by 2030, ensure that all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development care and pre-primary education so that they are ready for primary education. So that's another target on its own. And there is another target which I so much love under quality education, that's target 4.7, which defines what we are doing here. It said by 2020, ensure that all learners acquire the knowledge and skills needed to promote sustainable development, including and among true education for sustainable development and sustainable lifestyle. So it goes beyond K-12 or tertiary education now, and human rights and every of those key information. Yeah,
Hello,
sorry
Mr.
about
Emmanuel, you're
yeah,
muted.
yes, sorry about that. Back now. So looking at target 4.7, I'm just going to let me open this indicator under target 4.7. And the indicator is extent to which global citizen education, that's the very first one. And the second one is education for sustainable development are mainstreamed in national education policies. That's the first condition. Global citizen education for sustainable development, are incorporated into national education policies. That's the first condition. The second thing is curricula, our day-to-day curriculum. And the third thing is teacher education, whereby the teachers, secondary school, primary school, tertiary lecturers, we have all of these incorporated in their learning and student assessment. So whereby students are not just being assessed based on figures or digits or shapes, they can also get to be assessed based on their lifestyle. So let me go to another target entirely. Let me go to target 4.1, which speaks on we are ensuring that all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education, leading to relevant and effective learning outcomes. And the very first indicator, here we have 2 major indicators, which says the proportion of children and young people in grades 2, 3, and at the end of primary and also at the end of lower secondary, achieving at least minimum proficiency level in two key areas. The first one is proficiency level in reading and also proficiency level in mathematics. So either male, maybe either you're a male or you're a female. That's what will help us to know if at all we've achieved target 4.1. And the second thing is completion rates amongst primary education, completion rate among students in primary school, secondary school, both upper and lower secondary school. So all of these indicators are there to help us to ensure that we are getting to track our success. So in any project you are running, maybe under the Youth Day of Service or even on your own initiative, you need to be able to align your projects to each of these targets, and whereby you can also know that, because when you are getting to even pitch your impact or success story, you can say that through social projects, we've been able to help social number of students to achieve proficiency level in reading or in mathematics, or maybe on education for sustainable development. I have a project that trains primary and secondary school teachers, and we've been able to train over close to 10 teachers, 10,000 teachers across 35 African countries. And we still want to do more. Our target is to do 100,000 teachers within the next 2 years. And that is focused on target 4.7. So in all of these, there is no project which you are running within the framework of the SDGs that does not have a target, that does not have an indicator. It's important for you to have a very good understanding, and very important for you to know to connect each of your activities to each of those targets. So I'm just going to move. Okay, where can we find these targets and indicators? Just in a minute, I would love to share the link. You can get to check it out yourself, and whereby you also have that, you can get to track that after this class. I will just quickly run through my other slides, because definitely I still have quite a number of things to speak on this session this afternoon. While we get to speak further on the activities of sustainable development, I've mentioned the 17 sustainable development goals, and I've given you an overview of the targets, the indicators, how you get to measure all of that. And when you look at the targets, another thing, I wish there is time, but we can't just do that. You can take a screenshot of this screen. There are some resources that you see that they say that we have 232 indicators, 230 indicators, 239 indicators, which you will say, which one is even the correct one? And I always love to guide people right, whereby I get to provide the real information. So sometimes when you see all of those mixed figures, it's because there are repeated indicators. So when you check target indicator 8.4.2, it's similar to indicator 12.2.2. So whereby when they are now counting generally, they might not count it repeatedly. So, but if you are to add up all the indicators, I think that's closely 241 or 242 or thereabouts. But when you list out all the indicators, we have exactly 230 indicators aside the repeated targets that have some repeated indicators. And I think I've spoken more and dwell on that. This is definitely giving us a pictorial view of how the targets connect with each other, how the target for SDG 16 piece gets to connect with these inequalities, and how gender gets to connect to education, how it gets to connect to inequality, and how health gets to connect to issues around water, issues around education, issues around food, and all of that. Like we earlier said, One of those good qualities of SDGs is they are interconnected, it's inclusive, and doesn't leave anyone behind. Here is where I will just quickly spend some time for each and every one of us to also have a good understanding. And that's where we have the dimensions of the SDGs. We have the dimensions of sustainable development. We also have the pillars of sustainable development. I'll first of all speak about the pillars. And these pillars are thematic areas whereby the SDGs are being focused. And we have people, we have planet, we have partnership, peace, and prosperity. And in all of this, it's to guide and ensure that we are getting to make progress and ensuring that each and every section is well sustained. So look at people as a whole. What is the focus for people? The focus of people is to ensure that we get to end every form of malnutrition, get to end every form of inequalities, get to end every form of poverty amongst people, ensuring that you have a good standard of living. And when you look at the pillar that has to focus on planet, and planet is more focused on we getting to ensure that we protect the mother earth. And I always say this, that it's not just it's beyond me saying it. It's something that we all know. Each and every day, the population is increasing, right? The population is increasing, but these natural resources, this planet Earth we have, the question is it increasing as our population is increasing? No. The answer is no. Then how are we ensuring that we don't compromise? How are we ensuring that we protect and we also conserve natural resources? And some of these biodiversity do not go into extinction. These are key things that planets is this second pillar is more focused on. And another key aspect, which is, I always say that, like I earlier said at the beginning of my presentation, that without partnership, we are going nowhere. There needs to be partnership in between individual, in between organization, in between institution, government, and all. And the fourth one, which has to do with peace. Imagine if there is a chaos where you are currently seated now. I'm very sure you are going to run off, you are going to leave this session. You won't be able to be part of this session. There can't be sustainable development where there is no peace. Look at the issues of Boko Haram. Even till today, there are communities, look at the issues of Gaza, in different countries. Whereby there is no peace, there can't be sustainable development. So there's a need for us to foster peace. There's a need for us to ensure that our societies are inclusive. And the last one is we getting to live in harmony and getting to have our needs being met, ensuring prosperity, and getting to reduce inequality amongst different gender and different category of people. However, you can classify each of those SDGs by its pillar, and which you can see on the bottom right of my screen, rather. Dwelling more on the dimensions, and sometimes they call it the three-legged stool, which is more focused on social sustainability, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability. And economic sustainability, looking at the aspect of how are we getting to conserve resources, how are we getting to ensure that ensure growth and development, and whereby we get to each and everyone are meeting to the standard of living. And this connects to social sustainability, which is more focused on welfare, well-being of each and every citizen. And I think I'll define this environment over time, and over time. But in all of this, there is a part which is a major means of implementation. That's SDG 16 and SDG 17. And at the center of this is also good governance. And when I mention the word good governance, I'm not just saying good governance, maybe tagging the government. It's not just government alone. We all are all involved when it comes to achieving that good governance. Because I think I won't say this here, but I'll just paint a picture. Definitely, if there is going to be any form of corruption, maybe in terms of contracts, the individuals are also involved who are also in the public service, public sector. So it's very, very important. We need to ensure good governance and ensure that we are meeting to all of these standards. And I'm actually skip this for some very good reasons. This was developed by SDSN some years back, which is a 6 SDG transformation. And the basis is we're looking at the 17 SDGs. Truly, they are broad. But if we can achieve the SDGs, and if at all we can achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, but we can focus more on these 6 transformation, then definitely we're on a path to achieving 2030 agenda for sustainable development. And what are the key levelers for this? The very first one, I mentioned it, governance. And the second one is economic and financing, whereby we can have more financing, be committed to ensuring that each and every country, each and every individual get to make progress. And the third one is individual and collective action. It starts from you. It starts from each and every one of us on this call. And the fourth one is science and technology. We are in the era of AI. There are a lot of things which we are doing now, which we are doing traditionally, which you can get to automate. And the last one is capacity building, knowledge. How are you building on the knowledge you have? Myself, when I was preparing for this session, I felt like, I think this is SDG 101. And intentionally, I said I was going to develop some courses to SDG 701, which is going to be advanced courses, not just for newbies. Definitely, there's a target which I'm looking at for this category of people that I'm designing that for. So more importantly, as you are also trying to make impact, as you're also trying to come up with those projects, you need to keep learning. You need to unlearn, you need to relearn over and over again. And quickly, I will just speak on this SDG dashboard. This is a report from Sustainable Development Solutions Network, which is always published every year. I think later this month or next month, we are going to have the 2025 Global Sustainable Development Report, which assesses every country, every country in the world, how we are making progress on their SDGs. And here we are in Africa. I believe you can see, you can see Middle East and North Africa, and you can see Sub-Saharan Africa. You can see what the progress looks like. We are not really making good progress, but where you can see green, you can see that, I think for Africa, under SDG 12, we can see SDG achievement, and we're on track. They said we are on track. And it's good we celebrate ourselves for that. If that's just the only one, at least we are on track and we can still do better. And another one similar to that is climate action, but the progress is moderately increasing. I'm going to use Nigeria as a scenario to explain this in detail. This is Nigeria on the Global SDR report in 2024. And our index shows that I think our performance is at 54.6. So also many other African countries. I think the country that is performing most in Africa is maybe Ethiopia at maybe 86 or 88. And there is a need for us to still look deep down beyond this country ranking. And I want to say this to each and every one of us, that anywhere you see a problem, then it's an opportunity for you to make it. It's an opportunity for you to dive into. You can see the 17 dashboards of Nigeria, you see most of it red, no poverty, there is still real challenges, zero hunger, we have serious challenges, good health and well-being. I think the major SDGs we have that is on track, quite on track, is SDG 12, and also climate actions to some extent. So I would love you go on these reports. You can check it online, check your country out, look at the performance, look at the progress of your country. And there is a part which I also want to speak on, because it's a gap in Africa generally when it comes to information. When you come to quality education here, and you also see reduce inequality, you can see this gray sign, right? This gray sign means that there is no information available when it comes to that. That means we don't have sufficient data. So if you're a data analyst here, and it's, there are quite numerous opportunities we have within this SDGs sector. I think I'm beginning to mentor a lot of people to come into that aspect. There are a lot of data which we need to really bring up, and which can be a lot of saving grace for each and every country in Africa. You can just focus on your country alone to say, oh, I want to try as much as possible to put together data, maybe on quality education, on poverty, and all of that. It's something you can start on your own gradually, and you get to expand from your community to your state to the entire regional, geopolitical zone which you belong to, and to your country at large. And later you can say that you want to do something intercontinental. So, and to quickly close up on this part of my discussion, there are quite numerous courses on SDG Academy which you can also get to learn on and get your certification on. And this is going to be my last question to each and every one of us. And this is a question I always ask at each and every of my presentation on SDGs. We have different categories of people that are getting to advance the SDGs. But there is a question I want to ask us on this call. Who do you think, you can only go for one person actually, amongst governments, private companies or private sector, civil society, NGOs, or religious organizations, schools, universities, youths, who do you think has a major role in accelerating sustainable development goals in Africa? I would just like to use the comment section to answer this. Who do you think has a major role in accelerating sustainable development goals in Africa? I want to see answers. Oh, amazing, amazing. Kefa said youth. Okay, Abigail said youth. Zainab said the government. Zainab, you're going to tell me why you're saying the government has a major role. And Mohammed said, okay, I'm trying to keep a track of the responses. Matthew said government and youth. You have to go for one. I will choose that you selected government, Matthew. And I can see Helene said youth. And you can't select individual. Dennis, you just have to, okay. Babdele said all of us. Okay. Hope said the youth. Precious said the youth. Aminu said government. Okay. Austin said NGOs. Then Ruth said youth. Ruth said youth, government, NGOs. So why is nobody saying religious organization? Are we not believers? Maybe you're a Muslim, or you're a Christian, or you're a traditional worshiper. Boniface said we are supposed to work together, each with a role to play. At the top, the government to set a good space for all actors. Okay, I won't call Boniface an activist, but definitely that's a very good point, Boniface. And Abigail, I love that word. And that just ends this discussion for me. Youth are the major drivers of change. And truly, there's this word they always say, that we are the future generation. We are not the future generation. We are the real generation. This is our time to shine. This is our time to make that impact. And we have the population, we have the strength, we have the tenacity, we have the energy. And it's high time for us to get to make that impact, to drive that change, just like Abigail said. We are the drivers of change. And I want to say congratulations to each and every one of who have made it down to this program. And this is a great opportunity for you to drive that change and for you to make that impact, contribute your own quota to advancing sustainable development. And just quickly, I'm going to say this, there are various strategies which you can get to amplify the SDGs. And some of these are motivation, which I always put forward to each and every youth out there. There are a lot of opportunities which exist, mostly in the aspect of digital technology, green skills, which you can leverage on. I know that when you speak about climate solution, climate adaptation, when you speak about renewable energy, when you speak about life below water, blue economy, circular economy, there are lots of opportunities which you don't even need to look out for a white-collar job. All you just need to look out for is a problem that exists in your community. Think about a solution, empathize with the community to know what the real cause of that problem is. Think about a solution, and before you know what is going on, you have grant opportunities, you have people funding, you have people supporting you. It becomes a global product for each and everyone. And the second one is, how are we contributing to discussion process? I mean, this decision-making process, our policy, and it's very, very important. I think recently there was this campaign we had in Nigeria, which started on World Earth Day to World Environment Day, ensuring that we also make this well known, and whereby we get to speak on how we can get to reduce our plastic pollution. Another key aspect is education and capacity building. I will keep saying this over and over. There are a lot of people out there that really need to be trained. There are a lot of people out there that are not even educated. This alone can be an opportunity for you. Is it farmers, maybe market women, a lot of people you can get to train and come to the highlights too. There are a lot of avenues which you can get to train them. Look at this program. I'm very sure we have youth from over 30 African countries joining this program today. And imagine if we are not making use of these e-learning platforms. So it's something you can start on your own. You can use your platform. You can use your TikTok platform. You can use your Instagram platform to educate people about the SDGs, about sustainability lifestyle, just like that target 4.7 says. Another key thing is our community engagement and volunteering. If you're on this call today and you don't belong to a community or a network or an organization, I want to assume that you belong to. And thanks to Leap Africa for having this program for each and every one of you to be able to make an impact. But after this program, you need to look out for organizations which you can even volunteer for. And personally, I always say this, I use myself as a testimony. I mean, yes, volunteering as, if they ask me that what's the best thing I have enjoyed doing in my life, aside designing programs, designing projects, is volunteering for organization, volunteering on people's projects, in as much as it aligns to my area of interest and it's something I believe I can make an impact and contribute in. Why not? I will get to volunteer. But when you are volunteering, you can set a timeline to say that, oh, I want to volunteer for 3 months. There's a project that I'm volunteering on currently, and it's a summit, which I know that definitely, personally, I've not hosted this kind of summit before. I've hosted a lot of summits, conferences, but these are high-level events. But me doing that for free, I'm not just doing it for free. I'm not expecting anybody to pay me, but I need experience. I need that technical know-how. And this is what volunteering gives to you for free, which eventually, if you are to pay to learn that, you are going to pay in millions. So Community engagement, very important. How many trees have you planted? Have you planted a tree this year? How many cleanup projects have you been part of this year? And another key thing which I also want to talk about is you getting to leverage technology, data technology. If at all across the entire thing you do day to day, it's still the traditional process you follow. You have not automated all of those things, then you are far behind. So I want to admonish each and every one of you, very, very important, look out for those innovation, those new technology beyond ChatGPT. Don't just, don't let me speak about ChatGPT or Gemini AI. There are a lot of data technology that you can adopt, which exists that is going to speed your work process, that makes your life easy. Let me just use that word, that makes your life easy. So very importantly, and also sustainable lifestyle and responsible consumption. I so much love this picture here. Many people today, I still find it so difficult whereby I'm driving and I see a car ahead of me and I see them, they just throw out a plastic bottle. Why do you have to do that? You know, there are ethical processes, there are things we need to stop doing, and there are things you need to stop. You know, you can't. There was a day I was working, I think one of my project team were working, we are just taking a walk together, and it was holding a water bottle. I was watching him, I was taking my time to watch him, and about finishing that bottle, I saw him drop the bottle. I said, go back and go and pick that now. I had to frown at him, seriously. And believe me, within just 20 seconds away from where we are, we saw another guy picking plastic bottles. So why do you have to cause a problem for people? But that plastic bottle, which that guy is also picking, it's something that is going to give that guy some profit, which you as a person can get to keep. And you know, in Nigeria now we have EcoBata with the waste smart vending machine and some other pickup organization whereby when you drop your plastic, they give you an incentive. And not just plastics alone, e-waste, there are electronic waste, you have those gadgets at home, those phones at home, those laptops at home. There are people that are using those phones, those gadgets that you are not using to create solar lamps. Look for them, they're online. Oh, I have so amount of so waste. You can even contribute this as a social impact, not necessarily that something that is bringing you profit. And you can ask for a cut. Oh, I'm giving you so number of this. What do I stand to benefit? It's as simple as that. How are we getting to reduce our carbon footprint? Those are sustainable lifestyle. Will you ever choose to park your car at home? There was a day I was meant to go for a conference over the weekend, and I'm meant to drive like 10 kilometers. Within me, I felt like um, I'm not supposed to be driving alone. And I was so worried overnight. I had to start calling people. Oh, are you going to so events tomorrow? I would like to. So there are people you can pull together. You don't need to say that, oh, all of you are driving down there and, you know, adding to the carbon emission out there. So how are you getting to reduce your carbon footprint? Please, these are key things we need to ensure. And this is the very last point, collaboration and networking. Collaboration and networking is a key thing which I will never miss to say in this platform today, that come what may what you are doing, and which I really appreciate Leap Africa for on this day of service, whereby you can also see other projects and choose to be part of it. Who says you have to be the CEO of that initiative? Who says you have to be the funder? What is stopping you from having other funders? What is stopping you from having other people on your team to say that let's share the work and share the profit at the end? You know, I always say this, that no matter how clear a goal is, no matter how clear a project is to you, it's not meant to be achieved alone. There are people that you can work with and to make your work faster. And when you choose to work alone, it's going to make your work slower. It's going to make your achievement slower. So why don't you just look out for people you can get to collaborate with? And when you are collaborating with people, when you are bringing people on your project, ensure you have real agreements. There are non-disclosure agreements you can sign with each other, most especially when you have unique ideas on your initiative. Maybe it's an innovation sort of. You can sign all of those agreements and ensure that your ideas are protected. And I always say this again, that when you go out for events, are you just going to the event to listen? It's an opportunity for you to network. Even on this call as we are today, there are people that are looking out for what you're doing. There are a lot of people that need your service. But if you want to be that one-man soldier and you don't want to be open, then you are going nowhere. Network in every opportunity you have. And over time, now I think it's more easier for us to achieve networking even without seeing each other. I think I had there's this man, I'm going to mention his name on this call, Dr. Alex Akibe. He's the founder of African Cleanup Initiative. We've been connecting over 7 years virtually. We speak a lot of time. We run a lot of projects together. And believe me, we've not met for once. And unfortunately, we've met in 3 different events, but we didn't recognize each other. We didn't greet each other. Not until one major event, and he said, Emmanuel. I said, is this Emmanuel? I said, yes, it's Emmanuel. And it's all because I was able to say that I want to network and connect with 10 different people at that event. I mean, 10 different key speakers. So my idea is when I go to events, I look, either I'm speaking or I'm not speaking at that event, I look at the key dignitaries that comes to that event. Maybe they are speaking, or maybe they are just coming to grace the event. We connect, we exchange contact, I check their LinkedIn, connect with them, send messages. From there, you get opportunities. From there, you get invitations. When they see that you have something substantial, something good, which you are doing. So at this point, I'm going to just close by saying that by we getting to work together and we getting to raise more awareness, and through collaboration, we can get to create an Africa that is more prosperous and that is more sustainable. Collaboration is very key. Please don't work alone. Don't live life alone. Just type it in the comment section. Don't live life alone. Because in all of this that you want to do, partnership and collaboration is very key. And together, we can get to achieve a better world, a better Africa, which the current generation will benefit from, and the future generations too are going to benefit from. Thank you once again. I am glad to get to speak on this session on the introduction to SDG, and I believe it's been a wonderful time, an educative time for each and every one of you. And I'm happy to take some questions because I also have another 1 p.m. call right away, but I'll be glad to take 1 or 2 questions before I leave. Thank you once again, Vic. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Can we show our appreciation in the chat box? Let's appreciate our facilitator for today, Mr. Emmanuel Olaolowoyo, for this beautiful session. I'm glad you enjoyed the session. I can already see some comments dropping in the chat box. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel. We are grateful for your time and for your contribution to the bootcamp, especially on today's session. So quick one before we let him go. We just have 2 slots for questions. 2 slots for questions. If you have questions, just 2 slots. You can drop it on the chat and he would respond to them before he goes. If you also have more questions, if we have more people that want to ask questions, we can collate those questions in a document and share with him, and then we share the feedback and responses with you later on. But on this call, we can just take only 2 questions if we have. Any questions from anybody? Okay. Mr. Emmanuel, you have some questions on the chat. Would you want to respond to that now before you go?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be glad to respond to the questions. Let me check the Q&A while I get to.
Oh, it's actually on the chat, the main chat itself, not in the Q&A.
Okay. How do we get to link where how do we get the link where we can find the SDG indicator? Okay, let me just put that. I'm sharing that already. Melanie Shuku, I'm sharing that with you. What can I do to give out positively to the society? Well, to that question, I've mentioned quite a number of things which you can do. And, it's basically you identifying a problem. In design thinking, there's a part whereby you get to, design thinking have five different phases. And the very first part is you getting to empathize. And that empathy stage is whereby you get to connect with your users. I mean, who are those that this problem really affects? Know what exactly their problem is. So it's as simple as you getting to identify. And you getting to identifying the question is as simple as what is not working? What is not working in my country? What is not working in my community? Okay, I saw a video recently of a guy that did a solar boot station whereby students can charge their phone. And as simple as that, the extent of that impact. I mean, the extent of the impact of that initiative that he came up with. And there are quite a lot of problems that exist out there. Do you know why foreigners are coming to Africa to come and invest? It's because, the real problem exists here. There are less or none for them to work on over there. So they are ready to bring their investment here. And many of us, we are ready to run away to where there is no problem and enjoy the life there. But in as much as you want to make impact, that's what you are called to do. Then solve problems, create real solutions. And please, when you are solving problems, tell good story about your solution. Don't just hide it. I always fight with my team, most especially the project team and communications team. When we end a lot of programs, we end a lot of projects, put all of those pictures on Google Drive. I said, you must not start any project without you telling the story of this one you've achieved. Let the world know the impact you've made. And that's the only way, because definitely when people check you out, there's another thing I will ask each and every one of you to do. This maybe not on this call. Go to google.com, type your name there, see what is going to bring. And if on Google you can't find any relevant reference on your name, then you are not there yet. I mean, what I mean is you still have a whole lot of work to do when it comes to storytelling. Even if it's just a cleanup initiative we're part of, put it out there and ensure that your name is on that post. When people type your name, maybe let me look for someone's name on this call. Maybe someone like Zainab, or maybe someone like Abigail, or someone like Badmos and Olamilekons. I typed it there and I'm looking for what you've done. I can see good works. I can see your impact story. Then I can know, oh, this guy, you have the credibility. That's how sometimes selections are being made. Not just about the essays you've written, or put out your story and let people know what you're doing. And from there, you get to attract more opportunities. Because a question a lot of people we ask is, oh, they've been doing this for a long time. There is no opportunity. Nobody is appreciating what we are doing, and we've not been getting. It's because nobody knows what you are doing. Let the world know what you're doing, and from there, you can attract opportunity. Let me just check. I think I'll just take the last question. And I wish I can still stay longer than this, but however, it's also important we don't leave anyone behind. So if there are other questions, answer please our facilities. Can we receive these lessons via email? Absolutely, absolutely. My presentation slide is open. I will share with Vic and the entire team so they can get to share with you. I've shared the link for the SDG indicators. So the person that is asking for my LinkedIn link, just type Emmanuel Olowoyo on Google. You're going to find my LinkedIn, or you can type it on your LinkedIn account. You're going to find it there. I don't know if there are any other questions you are seeing that I've not responded to, Victoria.
I think you have done justice to the questions for the sessions today, and I think that yes, we can release you at this point to go. But if we have further questions, we are going to collate them together and share with you. So if you, when you have time in your schedule, you can send us a feedback so we can share with the persons that asked the question. But this is to say thank you again on behalf of Leap Africa and the YDoS team for your time, for your contributions, for taking your time to explain all the concept. And you literally took us from a journey from how the SDG started and up to what we can do, and we're very grateful for everything you have shared with us on this call. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I sincerely appreciate the Leap Africa management for the great work, and thank you to also my esteemed network manager, Dr. Femi. And we look forward to more engagement with your organization and entire fellows of this program. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay, people, we are very grateful that you are still on this call. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I hope that you found the 2 sessions today very, very insightful. Before you go, just quick announcement. We have shared the attendance list or attendance form in the Zoom chats. Please, if you haven't filled it, try and fill. In fact, ensure it is a must, it is mandatory that you fill the attendance form. 80% class participation, and I'm not talking about just attending the sessions, but participating in the chats and being here present is required to be able to get access to Leap Africa's funding for a select number of projects on the UD of Service initiative this year. Also to be part of our alumni community, and also to receive any form of technical support to enhance your capacity when you start implementing your project. So please take this seriously. If you have filled before, you don't have to fill again. I'm just saying this for people that did not get the chance to fill before. The second announcement is that we would not be having a session tomorrow and next. So Thursday and Friday, there are no sessions to be taken. The next session will be next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. If anything changes, we will let you know. This class is, we've tried to put it in such a way that you can have time to also go back to the previous lessons and also ruminate on it and take it in before you get into the next class. So we don't want to rush you through this process. We want you to take your time and assimilate everything that we are sharing with you on the call. So again, no class tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. Your next class will be on Tuesday, and we will share with you the schedule for the week, that's week 2, and any other information you would need. Also, please bear in mind that at some point in time, we are going to be sending you assignments so that we would know if what we are teaching or what we are dishing out to you is meaningful to you and you can relate. And that assignment is part of the grading for the bootcamp. So we're going to grade the assignments, and it is part of our own criteria to sift out projects that will be funded. So now I'm begging you so that you don't have to beg me when that time comes, right? So ensure that you engage fully, participate, be here, ask questions, and seek clarity where needed. For those that are not on the group chats, we would, I don't know if Toby can help us, if you can send the link on this call so that they can join the group chat. That is those that have registered for the bootcamp but did not get an email to join the group link. Please join the group so that you can be informed alongside with others. So that's it for today. I don't know if you have any further questions before we close today's class. You can quickly just drop it in the Q&A so that we can respond quickly to it. Let me quickly check the Q&A session. Okay, I think we have responded to it. All right, that's all, everybody. Thank you for your time and thank you for staying and actively engaging into this class. See you next week. And looking forward to further conversations with you on the WhatsApp community. Ensure you use that community to ask your questions. Please don't send me DMs. Don't send me DMs. Just ensure you use that community to ask whatever questions you have and you will get a response very, very promptly. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye. Oh, before we go, sorry, I just wanted to acknowledge our sign language interpreters. I don't know if you can turn on your camera, Mr. Bayonle and Omolola. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being on this call. We started at 10 and you're still here past 1. We really appreciate you. Thank you for providing support to our colleagues with, challenges on that front. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for your support. We are grateful and we look forward to engaging with you next week. Thank you so much.